Living Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, February 28th, 2019 is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Blanova.
I'm here.
Commissioner Creech.
Present.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Kalis.
Here.
Commissioner Powers is here. Commissioner Yednick.
Here.
And Chairman Rafato.
Here. Steve, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
And no citizen concerns and comments? Thank you. We'll go to consent items. Docket number SCBA 19-3, City Works Eatery and Poorhouse 365 West Dundee Road, appearance approval of a wall sign. Docket number SCBA 19-4, Fifth Third Bank 125 McHenry Road, appearance approval of wall signs and freestanding sign. Docket number SCBA 19-6, Express Auto Title Loans 353 North Milwaukee Avenue, appearance approval of freestanding sign. Docket number SCBA 19-7, House of Rental 318 North Milwaukee Avenue, appearance approval of a wall sign. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Kalis. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Yednick.
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Items for review, docket number 2018-30, continued from December 20th, 2018 hearing, House of Rental 318 North Milwaukee Avenue. Special use site plan approval of tool/equipment rental facility with outside display or storage. Steve?
Yes, as Chairman Rafato mentioned, that this item was continued from the December 20th meeting. During that December 20th discussion, there was a focus around the outside storage and specifically the screening of that storage area. The Plan Commission noted or discussed fencing options, and the petitioner had asked if he could return to the Plan Commission to propose some alternative fence designs. There's been no other changes to the petition. The site plan is the one that was provided at the December 20th meeting that did address the previous fire department review comments. So in terms of anything outstanding, it's just the items related to the fencing and screening.
Okay, great, thank you. Sir, you've already been sworn in, so if you could just give your name and business address again, please.
Chris Wright, 318 North Milwaukee Avenue.
Okay, so the floor is yours to describe what you are proposing.
The product, sorry, is a fence screening that is used. I have used it on other properties before. It's a mesh screen, and it's an appearance thing. So I understand the fencing was an appearance issue, and with that we can use this screening to, I guess, beautify the fence. I've had good luck with it. I've used it before, and I think it's a suitable option for that property.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? No? Nothing else has really changed. Okay, thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. So you're not looking at redoing the fence at all, other than just covering it with this material?
I did. Structurally, the fence is solid. I did get quotes from a couple contractors to the proposal for the wood fence alternatives. 8-foot tall cedar fence would be approximately $18,000 to replace that fencing with. This alternative is what I came up with. The product itself is about $600, and then we can install it ourselves.
And you'd still have the barbed wire at the top and...
That's just that chain link. There's no barbed wire, I don't believe, on that fence, no.
There is in
There is.
the pictures I see.
I think it's this one here, the sample one you provided.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is my other property that I was showing.
Example.
That's that example of this product here.
What's the height of the current fence?
Current fence is 6 foot, I believe.
One strong.
Now, I'm just afraid this material that
Strong
you're
Street.
talking about is like what we see at the construction sites, and it doesn't usually last for a whole year before it starts to deteriorate and get torn and starts flapping in the breeze. I'm guessing that if it was up for a couple weeks, it would have been damaged from last week's windstorm. I just would like to see something much better.
This product has a lifespan, there's many tiers of all these products. That's a disposable product. This product that I have in that one picture, it's been in there for 5 years, and its lifespan is 5 to 7 years.
Can we see it?
Sure.
That's all the questions I had, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see that it appears that the fence, where you have the gate into the entry of your property, appears to be 6 foot. Is the fencing along Strong Street 6 foot tall?
Actually, if you show that gate, we did do a mesh section there.
Yeah, I see that.
Already, and it's proven to hold up. That's been in place for a couple of years now. I'm not exactly sure on that height on Strong Street. The quotes that I had from the contractors that came out claimed that fence was 6 foot.
Well, I drove over there today, and it doesn't appear to be 6 foot tall to me. And it also does not have a top rail on that fence in order for you to attach this screening. The north fence that's adjacent to siding 1, windows 1, has been it's not in very good condition. And I also noticed that you have storage in between your little shed and the fence all along that north property line, which shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
I have to tell you that I'm opposed to this particular type of screening. You've had your site here for over 32 years, where storage where you're storing outside and you're not supposed to. We are asking you to put up a wood fence to shield everyone from seeing your storage, because we're actually granting you, storage on your property, and I don't think it's a lot for us to ask you to put a fence up around your property.
Right, so we've been in place for 42 years. This storage issue wasn't brought to my attention until just this year. I mean, I had nothing until we started getting citations, and that's when we started the process. So, I mean, I had no idea that was not the case.
Well,
I mean, look up and down Milwaukee Avenue. I mean, we're storing things behind a fence. There's plenty of car dealers,
I
plenty
understand
of other
that.
businesses that are doing
Well, we're
very
trying to-
similar activity.
Obviously,
I understand that. I'm giving my opinion, and I would like to see a wood fence, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
I really have nothing. I think the other two commissioners have expressed my concern also.
Commissioner Blanova.
Thank you. Yeah, we're talking about Main Street, and on the other side there are neighbors. I agree, it has to be something taller and better than just that. I have a question about the grant that maybe like last year, Grant Village were providing or something like that about appearance.
Those are facade improvements. This isn't a facade improvement.
So he's not going to be
No.
able to do that.
No, but that was a good point, but it's not a facade improvement.
Got it.
And I think facade improvements have to be in TIF districts?
TIF district, correct.
And that's, well, that is a TIF district.
That is a
isn't it?
TIF district.
Yeah, it is a TIF district. So if you wanted to improve
The building.
the building, there's facade improvements that can be granted. So, but no, that's not part of this.
Got it. That would be great, but I don't think it would be enough. I understand that it costs a lot to change it, but it's a main street, and their house right next to, it's gonna be bad. I think it needs to be at least taller to cover that equipment.
We're good neighbors. We do talk to our neighbors. They've had a chance to come here with any complaints throughout the 42 years we've been there, and we've never had one. So in my defense, I know what it seems like, but we actually live there, and we've never had a complaint about our fence. We've never had a complaint about the yard or anything in the yard. So for me to bring up spending, $18,000 on a fence is pretty tough, considering once the storage was put in place where we couldn't store anything there, our business was down 20%. So this is a real factor for me, and having that business be down 20% and then ask me to put up a fence that, structurally the fence that's there is good. We can put up the material, obviously rebuild, at the same time, we go over it, make sure that the fence is in good condition. But I really feel that's a hefty, you're asking me to do a lot for something that I have no complaints on. I know, I get it, structurally the fence is there, I just need to, clean it up, which I've done in other properties and in other towns, and it seems to be fine. The product holds up, it doesn't blow away, it won't let you see through the fence, it does the job. I just can't afford that. A wood fence in that condition too would even be a security issue for me. Okay, so now structurally it's good, but now I have a security issue where somebody breaks through a wood fence and can be in my yard.
And landscape to put like tall bushes, it's also not gonna work. And I don't think it's gonna be any cheaper. But it has to be taller.
Yeah, that one fence is not, it's only like 4 foot.
Anything else, Commissioner Blanova?
That should be it, thank you.
Commissioner Kalis?
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for that perspective. I kind of see it on the flip side. If you're losing 20% for not having a storage, that means you're gaining 20% for having it. And in my mind, it was that we were just asking you to put a fence we were charged as a commission to make sure that the village is beautiful and upholds the standards that we want. So the fact that you didn't have any complaints from the neighbors is nice to know, but I don't think as it pertains to what we are supposed to be doing for the image of the village, having a consistently height fence that looks nice. I think the mesh, which don't forget to take that back, it is more prone to upkeep and replacement and things like that. So I'm just thinking, you've had outdoor storage that gets you that extra 20% this whole time. My thought was that price justifies the cost of the fence itself. So that's not really our charge here. That's not our thing. That's the trustees can talk to you about that, I'm sure. But I also agree. This one on Strong Avenue certainly doesn't look 6 feet. I think it's going to be a maintenance issue if we do this versus a wood fence. I just, I'm in favor of letting you do the outdoor storage. I just personally would like to see it done properly. And you said that the meshing is suitable, but I don't know that's the best option. Except obviously you're paying for it and we're not. But that's our job is to make sure that the village is upholding standards of how it looks for citizens and people coming into the village and businesses and who they want to be in business with, not the neighbors and whether or not they think it's, suitable or not. So we've just got to take a more comprehensive look at this. And as for me, I just think it would be nice to have a more structure with the wood fence. So
A wood fence is a security issue for me.
So you mentioned that you're saying that because people could break through a wood fence, but they wouldn't break through chain link. Is that
Exactly
the premise? Okay.
Yeah.
Bolt cutters will go right through that.
That takes a long time. I mean, are we going to debate bolt cutters going through a fence? For
No,
You're
not.
debating whether or not we want a wood fence or your chain link fence, so
Yeah, I mean, a wood
you're
fence is
debating with us.
So,
Of
Telling
course,
what we would
it-
like to see.
The wood fence is a security issue.
any,
Okay, I have no other questions.
Right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Yednick?
Yeah, I had a question about if there have been any existing complaints about the outside storage or the condition of the existing fence, and so you said there weren't. Steve, did you know if there were any existing complaints?
There were complaints that had been closed out or resolved, but it wasn't, some were unrelated to storage. I think some of it related to grass and things of that nature. So there were a variety of complaints. In terms of the current request that we have in front of us is a result of staff had
Right.
witnessed the storage and then did some zoning research and found out that was the case. So
Okay, so nothing about the rundown?
not that resulted in this request in front of us.
You said that you've used this material in other properties. I'm guessing that's the picture that has like a brownish fence. It's after the chain link green fence. Yeah, after the next one. Keep going. Too far.
Yeah, so that,
What- okay,
the striping behind there, that's the back side of the fence. So that's the interior of the yard where you would see
So
that.
that's this existing property that we're talking about on Milwaukee?
This is my
No,
property in
I'm asking about on your other properties.
This is,
Yeah, this is my other property in Skokie.
Okay, so what are the neighbors on that other property?
We had a similar scenario with
But
the,
I mean, are they residential or industrial?
I have residential on 600 feet on one side, and then I have industrial on the other side of,
And this material is butting up to the residential?
yes.
I have a concern, I think somebody brought it up earlier about the flapping in the wind. I would think if that was right next to my next door and there was a strong wind, it'd be like a drum beating as long as the wind is going up and back. I don't think it's going to be that permeable that the wind's going to pass through it cleanly.
There's many grades of visibility, and there's many grades of letting the wind pass through. This does not flap in the wind. Like you can see in the picture there, the back still has the slats on it. I would still leave the slats on the fence. And then on the front side, on the street side, would be that material. We install tents for a living. We basically know how to install this product extremely well. We tension it out with 175-pound zip ties spaced out every 18 to 24 inches, top and bottom with grommets. It's a secure product.
And so, I apologize, I haven't been out directly to site. I've driven past it many times, and I can see from the pictures, but the north neighbor, what is directly north?
Directly north is the windows and siding.
Okay, wait, that's the one with the truck parked in that
Yeah.
picture?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the north, but that looks like a residential, or that's a commercial?
Commercial.
Okay, so the residential is west,
Right in the top right picture
west and
there.
facing strong?
Yeah, right in the top right picture. Since there used to be an alleyway there, it was a 12-foot by, 80-foot alleyway. The neighbor, he basically bought that piece of property and used a bunch of trees and things like that. So if that picture actually scanned to the left, you would see that it's all
Well, to me,
pine
I
and
think
everything else for his property. It's
what it would improve the appearance, like Milwaukee, you have your business is facing Milwaukee. So, and if you put right now you have a mesh over there now, maybe if you got a cleaner mesh and cleaned up some of the chain link fence, the barbed wire on top or something.
Yeah, on that
But
front perspective.
would you be open to a compromise of along Strong and along the west border, putting in a new fence to clean up that so that now you're facing Strong, you have a more aesthetic appearance, and then facing the neighborhood, you have more, because the other areas are Milwaukee and industrial business north of you.
Yeah,
I mean, split the difference.
yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying there.
And if it doesn't have to be wood, something else that you would come up with that's a nicer looking appearance that you feel meets your security needs.
So a taller chain link, an 8-foot tall chain link on Strong Street. And then the west side, where that residential is, that's where the old alleyway was, and you can't even see the fence on that property. So I'd have to look and see what, again, take some measurements of what's exactly there and give you a better idea what it.
And I don't know if splitting the difference would be acceptable to the other commissioners.
Right.
Anything else, Commissioner?
No, thank you.
So, Steve, can you go back to the pictures? Okay, thank you. So the bottom one there, so that fence there, that's along Strong Street, that's not a 6-foot fence, and I think Commissioner Creech pointed that out. And then if you go, the fence that faces Milwaukee Avenue, but where that white car is, and you say that the fence is in good shape, I find that hard to believe, because right in that corner there, there's shrubbery growing out of the fence. So I don't know how you can say that is in good shape. I am also not in favor of this mesh, and I think the general consensus here is that this mesh product is not something that we want to see. Now, Commissioner Yetnick brought up something about possibly doing a wood fence from your building out to Strong Street, along Strong Street, and then back along the residential, having that wood, and putting the mesh on the, or something else on the fence that separates you from Windows 1, siding 1, Windows 1, whatever that is. Because that appearance, and you say that, and I know, sir, that you say, well, look along Milwaukee Avenue. Well, when we have an opportunity to have people come in here, we have them clean it up.
Right.
So you can speak to what's there, but most of the time, there has not been a use that has come before us, that we change things. The most recent one was probably Boston Fish Market, but that was already a restaurant, and they've really improved that. And going north, even Munich, we changed, and then in between, there was that space where they had the vape room, and we asked them to improve that. So it's just to say what's there is, yeah, some of it is not in good shape, but they haven't been before us yet. So I think we're of the opinion that we would like to see a wooden fence. That's what we asked for when you left here, and we were looking for alternatives and something creative. I don't think this is creative from our standpoint as to what would improve the appearance of that. And in reality, that fence is in terrible shape. It is in terrible shape. And that's a matter of opinion, but it's in terrible shape. And you can, wooden fences now, you can put wooden posts in that also help from a security standpoint. And we have a lot of industrial areas that have wooden fences that put steel posts in and then wrap them with wood. That probably would help as a deterrent, but that's what we want to see. Well, let me take a general consensus here. Commissioner Creech, the fencing, you would like to see a wooden fence?
Yes.
And Commissioner Yetnick?
I would like to see something different than what's there, but it doesn't have to be wood. It's something that's more
Well,
aesthetically pleasing.
our code is really wooden.
Pardon?
Our code is wood.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that code. Yeah, okay, if that's code, yeah, then something to meet the code.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, I would like to see wood. It doesn't necessarily have to go all the way around. As Commissioner Yednick said, if we do strong and the west side.
You can do like wrought iron. Yeah. Okay. Pardon? Along the north side? Yeah,
Well,
let's
the
just.
the west side, between the houses and
Yeah.
strong.
Let's just ask the single poll here. Commissioner Powers
Wood.
and Commissioner Kalis
Yes, would.
and Commissioner Blanova.
Yes, so also,
So the consensus is that we want to see a wooden fence. Now, the question is, can we can we then, I don't say split the difference because there is no splitting the difference here.
Compromise.
Yeah, compromise, that we run the wooden, that what we would like to see is run a wooden fence from the building out to Strong Street, along Strong Street, and then back along where the houses are, where the house is. And leave the northern portion of this, I didn't look at the condition of that.
It's in the worst,
Is it in bad shape?
bad shape.
Yeah.
Well, make improvements to that piece of it, such that it's not falling down, and they put the screening on there. Commissioner Creech, would you be agreeable to that?
Well, I'd be agreeable to it, yes, but the north side of the property's fence is actually in the worst condition from what I saw today. But yes, I would be, I'd be okay to that.
Okay.
So that would have to be repaired,
Right,
and then your screening,
right.
and
Commissioner.
add a top rail.
Commissioner Yednick,
Yes, as stated by Mr. Creech, Commissioner Creech.
Commissioner Powers,
Same.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis,
Yes.
and Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
I'm in agreement with that, too. So here, though,
When this was.
there are
brought to
some
my-
options.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Okay, the option is that this is what we would recommend. How would we do this, Steve? Because we're a recommending body. And if you prefer not to take our recommendation and go before the village board with your recommendation of mesh, but most likely you're going to get a no vote from here, and this recommendation goes to the village board, you can take that chance, okay? Or go with our suggestion of the wooden fence from the building out to Strong, along Strong, and then along the house in the back.
May I ask a question about that?
And then, hold on one second, and then repairing the fence on the north side and putting that mesh that you had on there. Yes, Commissioner.
I'm new and I apologize for my inexperience. I'm not opposed to the special use, and I would like to see improvements. I mean, could we send two recommendations to the board? One where we're not, I mean, at least if I were to take a vote, I'm not opposed to the special use, but I would like to recommend the improvements in the appearance. I mean, can we tie the appearance on the vote of the special use, I guess is kind of my question.
It's a special use and site plan approval, and then part of the special use standards are also screening, and if you determine there's adequate screening.
Okay, all right, so it can be
Can
tied.
be
So
one,
we
yeah,
would
because it would
be-
really go to the site plan. Are they just one?
It's one.
It would be one ordinance.
One ordinance?
Okay.
Yeah. But those go to the site plan approval.
All right,
Not.
thank you for clarifying.
So it would be one, and so we would be, so that's your
Yeah,
option.
I understand what you're saying, but, you know, when it was brought to my attention, it was basically just an aesthetic issue. This product that I'm proposing is economical, it works, I've used it before, and it does the job of what we're looking to do as far as aesthetics. My concern is security, wood is not secure enough for me, and then also the cost of doing this fencing.
I think the objection to the aesthetic, though, is it looks like a temporary construction site.
It has construction equipment in the yard, maybe that gives it the appearance, but there's other things that I would like to try before I spend $20,000 on a fence.
Well, it'd be less because we're asking you, we're not requiring you to do the north side.
You're reducing 60 feet or 80 feet out of 412 is, you know, maybe a fourth or 20% of that
And-
cost. But
and-
we're
and
still
again-
looking at
And again, as,
large dollars when
as
I've already been
Commissioner
held back by
Yednick-
the city already
Right.
to, you know, when the business is down 20%. There's no money in the bank
as
for this
Commissioner
type of project,
Yednick pointed out,
including, you know, there's no money in the bank for this type of project. I'd like to clean it up, I really would. But if you're tying the special use to me not being able to store equipment in the yard, I'd be forced to close my business. And if you guys are open to that, that's what you're going to force me to do.
So what
I'm
would
not, I'm just here trying to do the best we can for what we're trying to do. I've gone through the process, we're doing everything on what we can do. I have an option, it's a good option, I've used it before. I'm really asking you to reconsider this, tying the special use to this fence issue.
So what are the options here, Steve or Mallory? It sounds like he's not, the petitioner's not willing to make these changes. Do we?
I think what you could do is you can have a motion for the special use with the fence material that the petitioner has proposed, get a motion, second that motion, then have a vote.
Okay.
If that vote fails, then the petitioner can see if the Plan Commission wants to then propose an alternate motion with these conditions and then see if that receives a positive recommendation, but it would be with the wood fencing and everything else.
So 2 votes, so.
And real quick, on that same line, if I'm going to do the screening and everything, I will put a top rail on. I mean, I will clean it up. We'll back off all the stuff. We'll clean up the trees. We'll do everything we can to make it, look the best it can. If it has to be, if we're saying it has to be 6 feet, I'll make sure it's 6 feet. We'll raise the fence, put the chain link up, put the screening over it, and we'll get it up to par. But, replacing the whole thing would be a bit of a challenge for me at this point. So 6 foot, top rail,
I think.
mesh on it, I can get that done.
But that means putting in new posts and basically putting up new chain link.
So.
You can't just add 2 feet to it.
Since,
I was looking for some.
again, it's been there for so long, the fence has maybe shrunk down into the dirt or something like that. So bringing it up, the fence posts, again, it's up to a fencing contractor, the posts are there. If they need to bring it 6 feet, we can't be more than 6 or 8 inches from getting that anyway. The top rail, they would basically extend a top rail over the top that would finish the top of that fence, and then we would do the screening to get that aesthetic that we were looking for.
So,
So I would actually recommend on just one vote, it would either, and it sounds like, the petitioner would rather just go to a motion and then the board can also hear these, this is just a recommending body and the board would
Right.
make the final
Yep.
decision. and
Mr.
may not
Chairman,
agree with the
I'll
board.
make a motion to do it as is.
let Mallory finish, please. Let Mallory
So,
finish.
if we were going to make the motion, it would be on as proposed by the petitioner. And then that way he could at least move forward and be able to, also make a plea to the board, which makes the final decision. I'm assuming that's what I'm going to do, because it sounds like you're not interested in the option proposed by the planning commission.
Correct,
So
yeah.
you might as well just move forward and the board can make its decision.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to make a motion on this special use with using this fabric material? Is that what we're going to do? And as a condition put in there that the fence is improved where needed throughout the whole, and that it is cleaned up along the perimeter?
Yeah, I mean, for that, we will go over it. We'll make sure, it is an old fence.
What,
We'll
it is an old
fix it up.
fence. and
Yeah,
it-
we'll
and
fix it up,
be-
aesthetic on it.
It should be replaced. It should be replaced.
I
It's an old fence, it's 40 years old, and it should be replaced. And you've gone this long having outdoor storage without it being a special use. And you've let it
That was not to my
gone
knowledge,
down.
though. I had
You've
no
let it go
knowledge of
down.
that. I mean-
You've let it gone down in maintenance, and it looks terrible. And we're trying to improve aesthetically that area, and this mesh is not an improvement to this area or anything.
It
So-
is. In my opinion, it is.
Right.
And in my past experience, it is. I'm familiar with the product. I really believe it would make that aesthetic,
I'll make a
Other towns,
motion.
Skokie allows me to do
Hold
it. I have that in Skokie on my property. I've done the
Got a
same thing
condition,
there.
Steve.
Yeah, let me just clarify this one. So I have 2 conditions based on Chairman Rafado's comments right now.
Can you repeat the motion into the mic, please?
This
Yes,
is,
and all the conditions,
Yes.
That's what he's doing.
yes,
That's what he's doing.
so we can hear them?
yes, these are the conditions as Chairman Rufato requested.
Into the mic, please.
He is.
Okay.
You can't hear him?
All fences shall be improved along the perimeter, and the areas around, at the base of the fence shall be cleaned up prior to installing the mesh screening. Number 2, add a top rail to the fence section along Strong Street.
And what about the height?
No, the whole, it has to be top rail
Yeah.
on
the whole-
everything.
Actually, the
And it
whole
has
thing.
to be 6 foot or close, not 5'6", but maybe 5'10" or 11, I would go with, but not what he has on Strong Street. I don't know why we're compromising
I
on
can do
this.
that. I mean, I can do that.
I don't know why we're compromising. Why aren't we just going with the wooden fence?
Well, he
And
has
if-
a right to refuse that condition, so he's asking for you to take a vote on the proposal he's proposed. So
So we're going to vote on the wooden fence and,
no, we're only,
and/or the
No.
fix it up?
no, we're only voting on the mesh fence with these conditions.
The petitioner is not willing to
And he'd take it to the.
have the wooden fence. He's not willing to install the wooden fence. So, I mean, I guess
Vote accordingly.
we can continue it until he changes his mind, but that's not going to happen.
You want
Wanna
to
read that again?
I want to read the
Just read it again,
conditions,
read the condition again.
Yes. Chairman, Commissioner Creech, you said the height, did you want to specify height? I know you had a couple ranges in there, so I just wanted to know if you
It's got to be at least 6 feet.
Okay, we want to go 6 feet?
Yep, 6 feet.
Okay, thank you. All right. Once again, number 1, all fences shall be improved along the perimeter and areas at the base of the fences cleaned up prior to installing the mesh screening. Add top rails to all fence sections where missing. Number 3, fence heights shall be increased to at least 6 feet in height.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Powers votes no. Commissioner Blanova?
No.
Commissioner Creech?
No?
Commissioner Johnson?
No.
Commissioner Kalis?
No.
Commissioner Yadnik?
I don't want to deny building, or business been in the village for a long time, so how about yes?
Okay, and Chairman Rufato?
No. That was
6 no votes.
6 no votes, 1 yes. And as we said, we're a recommending body, so you go before the village board.
Okay.
You'll have something to sign.
Yep.
You'll read this. Okay. That's the only thing.
Coming out.
And that was over there before, too. Last week it was over there.
I didn't see it over
Yeah, it was on the floor.
Oh, that's why.
Then Chairman Rufato, you'll need to close that public
Yep,
hearing.
I will. When is the meeting for this? Probably March?
That would be.
March
yes,
18th.
March 18th.
March 18th. You have to sign these, sir.
Chris?
Right, I was just checking that date.
Gotcha.
Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sign both of those. There and there. And you can take the bottom one. And just sign that one. You don't have to sign it, it's your copy. Okay, thank you. There you go. Calling docket number 2019 A and B, City Works Eatery and Poorhouse, 365 West Dundee Road, 2019-4, sign variation to increase wall sign area north facade, and 4B, sign variation to increase wall sign area east facade. Mr. Secretary.
Docket numbers 2019-4A and B, Bright Light Sign Company applicant is seeking variations from Title I Signs of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 21-06 Signs and Commercial Industrial Districts and associated sections to permit an increase in the permitted wall sign area for the north and east building elevations for the City Works Eatery and Poorhouse sit-down restaurant located at 365 West Dundee Road. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Steve, anything?
No additional comments.
Okay, is the petitioner here? Obviously, you're the only person left, so
You must be it.
you must be it. This is a public hearing, so could you please raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And could you state your name and address? Business address.
Ron Glazer, 3220 Executive Ridge Drive, Vista, California.
Okay, great, thank you. So the floor is yours to explain what you're proposing.
Thank you. I'm getting over a cold, so I'll do my best to
It's fine.
make it clear, guys. So we're the sign manufacturer that represents CityWorks brand nationally, and the applicant is our local installer, Bright Line Sign Company, so they work for us as other subcontractors around the country are hired to do so for the installation. So the permits will be issued in their name. So I guess if I could start at the beginning, the initial plans from the landlord who was not able to make it here, Brad Freeman, I believe you guys know him well.
Oh, yeah.
Since the property's right here. I was expecting him to do a little more of this introduction, but the site plan and the original building by them, if you saw the original building plans, had quite a lot of signage, double the numbers. They were huge. We looked at that as it was drawn, and well, it was going to be just too much money to put that kind of signage and illuminate it of that size. So we brought it down to scale, and then, you know, to keep within budgets for the client, ended up at the sizes that we are applying for variance for. So that for a typical pad, you might have 4 sides to bring clients to the property, as you know. In this case, we're not having any on the rear side. We're looking at the main entrance side on the north, the west side, and the east side. So the 2 sections of the code that we referred to that Steve helped a lot with was the graphics that were required as a minimum and a minimum square footage that was going to make the signage on either side's too small. So to me, I wouldn't recommend they even put a sign there, but I want my client to have visibility and have walk-in traffic so they stay in business. They're a nice property, really one of my nicest clients nationally, so I hope you get to enjoy their service when they open since you can walk there. But other than that, it's appropriate signage. These are high quality and very well engineered signs that we've arrived at for this brand. It's complicated. I can always go into that detail if you're interested. But there's a lot of detail. These are high grade GE LEDs inside, so I don't have any failures for 7 to 10 years, and automotive grade paint that we put on in our plant. So they're meant to be outside. That's what we do for a living. Our company's 40 plus years old, headquartered in Texas, and we manage these national brands. Anyway, I don't want to ramble, but Steve's been helpful on going through the specifics on what he'd support, and I didn't think it was obtrusive or the size of the signs that we've arrived at were extra large for the building. They seemed appropriate, plus they allow visibility so you can read the name and see that it's a restaurant and go there. So,
Cool.
Was that helpful?
Very helpful. Now we'll go to the commission. We'll start with Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for explanation and pushing through your sickness. The building looked great before. I think extra signage makes sense. The variance is obviously substantial, but given the situation, my concern is not about the size as it pertains to the building, but more so about the sign code and allowing for things like this that don't meet the standard. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it looks great and it's suitable for the area, so I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Blanova?
I have no questions neither, just one quick one. The color of, on the north elevation versus the real picture looks a little pink. Maybe I have some problem with my vision, but I think the color is a little different, but other than
I
that,
think it's all gold.
Yeah, it's-
Goldish.
yeah,
It's the
okay.
Yeah, it's
light.
probably a reflection.
Light reflection,
Yeah.
Then it's just me. Other than that, I don't have any questions.
All right, great, thank you. Commissioner Powers?
I'm fine with the variation. I have nothing.
Great. Commissioner Creech?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also am pleased with the improvement. I have no problem with it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you. I have no problem with the variation. I just, for the record, want to make sure that we're not going to see those 8-foot logos come back at some point on the tower elements?
No.
Because those tower elements, the way it's sitting there, look like they'd be ideal for it.
I'd agree with you, but no, it's too expensive.
Okay.
It's not part of our national branding. Our national branding, if you go to Schaumburg, which we opened a month ago, is really about, they can do a little more build-to-suit, have a curved building with the copper element is in there, but 2 signs. So here I've got the opportunity of 3, I've got a rectangular building that's not standard, so it's appropriate for the building, but no. As neat as it looked to the architect, Callison, who I work with a lot on other accounts, it just doesn't make sense to brand with the giant CW. It's a rather complicated to read
Yeah.
set of letters, so making it bigger doesn't necessarily make it easier to read. But that's their logo, that's what their trademark is, and that's what I try to make visible when we build their signs for them.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to confirm that.
Great, okay. And Commissioner Yednick?
No questions, no objections.
I have none either. It looks great, and we can hardly wait till it's open, and you brought up a good point. We can walk there. So, do I hear a motion on docket number, we can do them both together, right?
Do them separately, please.
Separately?
They're separate motions. They're separate.
Okay, motion on 2019-4A, sign variation increase wall sign north facade.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kalis, second by Commissioner Johnson. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes,
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Yednick?
Yes.
Chair Nafato?
Yes. And 2019-4B, sign variation increase wall sign area east facade.
So moved.
Second.
Powers and
Kalis.
Kalis.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
yes,
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednick?
Yes.
And Chairman Nafato?
Yes. You'll have something to sign. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Those are down there. Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
Pardon?
Aye.
Second. Meetings?
All those in favor?
Aye.
No,
Motion to close the
that was to close the public hearing.
public hearing. I'm sorry, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. You're looking for another,
Yeah, we just,
We just did. He just said close, so he was clarifying that it was
Close the
the public
public
hearing,
hearing.
not the full meeting.
That's a full meeting, yeah. You'll have something to sign, sir.
Run if you want to.
Okay, if you can just sign each one of these right there, and then we'll give you copies.
Yeah, and I'll follow up with you. Bright light on.
Does this have to go
next steps.
before? It's got to
It
go
does,
before.
yes. Yep, on the 18th.
Let me get you what you need here.
Then I'll follow up with more details. Okay, yep.
There you go. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to approval of minutes, February 14th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Johnson. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Yednick?
Yes.
Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Thank you. Other business. Steve?
Yes, excuse me. I just would like to point out station area plan update. I know the Plan Commission had, we had a presentation from the village's consultant, Farr and Associates, regarding the draft plan. We are now seeking public comment of that draft plan. If you go to the village's main homepage, it's right there under the masthead, under calendar events. It's right there. I've got an arrow that shows where that is. Basically, again, we are seeking feedback from anyone interested on the station area plan. There will be links for the actual draft plan and then a link for the survey. It's roughly about 8 questions, shouldn't take very long. But just for those in the viewing audience, the plan would update the 2004 station area plan and provide a framework for continued development of Dundee Road corridor near and around the metro station. So again, this is going to be up. It's up now and it'll be up through March 10th. So we encourage everyone, not only in the Plan Commission, but anybody out in the public, to take a look at this. And we're curious and want your input on how the future area of the station area should develop for the village.
Cool. Anything else?
That was it.
All right. I'll go first, just to offer our condolences to the Brady family. Ken was a tireless leader in this village, and through his many years of volunteering for the village. When I started on the Plan Commission, I was the newbie, and he was on the Plan Commission still at the time, and gave me a lot of information, and he will be sorely missed in the neighborhood, in the village and in the neighborhood. And the services are tomorrow from 3 to 8 at St. Joe's Hall. And then there is a celebration of his life mass on Saturday, March 2nd at 11 o'clock at St. Joe's. So. And they've asked, in lieu of flowers, make contributions to Wheeling Helping Hands, which he was an active participant in. And again, our condolences. So. Commissioner Blanova.
I have nothing, sir.
Commissioner Kalis.
Just as it pertains to the signage of CityWorks, I liked what it was, but it didn't seem relevant with that building to the code that exists. Is there a reason to look at the sign code to maybe modify it for the future, or do we just keep going with variances and such? Since the sign code, it probably relates more to strip malls that have smaller facades.
That is on the to-do list for staff.
Okay.
The planning team is to look at, there's been some case law that has resulted around some signage that we need to address through that, and as well as some of the other things that, based on the changing built environment of the village, we need to make sure our code follows that and gets up to date as well. So that is something that we are targeting.
Though I can't remember the last time we had a sign variation.
Well, yeah.
I
But I mean, with new,
even with new buildings,
Yeah.
some of the big buildings that we have, I can't recall a sign variation.
Was Dunkin' Donuts at the West End because they wanted a sign on the back too?
Yeah. Was that even a variation?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So, but it is a
Yeah.
good point.
yeah, any
They
variation is a
come up
little,
when you have a building that's sticking out
For
by
sure.
itself. and-
Yeah, but even some of the warehouses, we've never had, but it's a good point.
I'm just, for any variation, setting a precedent, who knows what's going to happen in the future when someone says, hey, you said yes to this,
I'll
and
get back to you.
I would love to see it if the sign code was updated, but anyway.
Sure, no, it's a good
just
point.
thought.
Yep.
That's it, thank you.
Yeah, for somebody like this, it really wouldn't have to come back if they could have that right away. Commissioner Powers.
2 things. First of all, I will not be here at the next meeting on the 14th.
So Secretary Pro Tem, will you be here on the 14th?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Second thing, I echo I echo Chairman Rafato's comments. My deepest sympathy to the Brady family also. Ken was a fixture in this village, and even when I came on to the Planning Commission, he was always there. I asked him a lot of questions, and he will be sorely missed, so thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
I'd also like to express my condolences to the Brady family. I've known them for many years. We used to bowl on a league together, all the girls and Ken and his wife. He will be missed. Other than that, our next meeting is a joint meeting.
No, I was going to mention that. It slipped my mind for the moment, and Chairman Rufato reminded me. Due to some scheduling conflicts, we will not have the joint workshop on the March 14th. We will have a standard Plan Commission meeting on the 14th.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Commissioner Yednick?
Nothing.
And Commissioner Creech?
I'm glad to hear that we're not having it on the 14th because I'm not going to be able to be here on the 14th as well.
Okay,
Two.
cool.
Still got 5.
That's all I have. And, my condolences as well. Thank you.
All right, motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.